Its relationship has changed. Everything about it. I mean, 2004. That's somewhat correct. 2004. There was periods where I went in and out of it from 1994ish, 5ish to 2004. But I really began to kick up things back in like late 2003, early 2004. Anyway, um, what is it? Jesus Christ. I would say that yes. I don't really know how you can be in fight sports for very long if your relationship to it doesn't change over time. There can be exceptions to that. Bob Arum has been promoting boxing for, people don't even realize he's like promoting, Naoya Inoue now. The guy was promoting fucking Muhammad Ali. I mean, it's just insane, the guy's longevity and people before that as well. And so in some sense, his relationship to the sport hasn't changed. But for other people, I do think it changes a lot. So for me, it was something of a North Star. I did like sports growing up to various degrees, but MMA was the only one that I ever felt like I understood. Like fully, like X's and O's, like I fully had, not in 2004 that I did, but whatever knowledge I had there was much better than whatever American football or soccer knowledge or whatever that I had. And then, immersing myself in it and then becoming a part of it to a degree was really, it was just had a profound effect on me. And I just remember thinking that like for example, like take Taylor Swift's music. It's not for me. I hear it. I don't like it, but I don't have a strong like reaction to it one way or the other. It's just sort of like, music you hear. To me, it's like music you hear in an elevator. And for fans, that might sound insulting. I don't mean it to be. I just mean that it doesn't do one thing or the other to me, right? But MMA did a lot to me. It did a lot to me. It did a lot about capturing my imagination. It captured my professional interest. It changed me as a person to a degree. I mean, it made me understand myself better to a degree. Like it really did a lot for me. So at various intervals, it meant different things. I'm at the point now where I certainly have a much more transactional relationship with MMA. Again, I do not like MMA culture. I think it's largely awful and bankrupt. And I think that people believe that if you like cage fighting, that means you have to have a worldview where you have absolutely traded in having empathy for other people or having just a sort of a basic humanity to the way in which you view the world, which is simply not true. But of course, there is a lot of those forces making those claims day to day. And again, how do you fight that? I don't really know, except to the way you live. I will say that I'm at a stage now after all this time where my technical knowledge of the sport has gotten significantly better. And that really is my main source of joy, to be honest with you. It's the puzzle, it's the problem solving, it's the rational thought that has to go into there, it's the sneakiness of the attack. There's so much, poetry is not the right word, there's so much plot in a fight, so much that's happening that is about these incredibly interesting forms of strategy and tactics and everything else. And then again, to what you mentioned before, like psychologically, what it does to people in these moments who have to fight out of attack or who have to finish whatever the situation might be. It really, those things to me are insanely interesting. I've not lost any interest in that. In fact, if anything, that interest has only grown. But in terms of like the culture, like, man, this is how someone okay, if someone's been around MMA for like 15 years and they don't feel weird about it, then they're a fucked up person, right? I mean, that's just the reality. Like, I've trained at gyms, and then they went through scandal after I left about all this insane levels of mistreatment that went through. And then you see how fighter pay actually works, and like newer fans who haven't seen the old guys get old, and then what state they're in, and then like what this does to you. I mean, I don't know how you can watch a cycle of heroes rise, fall, leave the sport, and then struggle, and then not think to yourself that fighter pay is actually important. I actually think you had to be fucking deranged to not have to mentally grapple with these kinds of things. So my relationship has changed. It has changed to MMA. MMA is always going to have weird, cool stuff about it. Not just in the fights themselves. It attracts different people. It attracts weird people. Matt Horvich, or I think Matt Horwich is his name. He used to be this guy who fought in the IFL, who had these weird sort of psychedelic philosophy, and it was just all these different cross sections of people you would never ever meet. And I think that part is still true, and that part is still quite beautiful. But I don't have that relationship to MMA in that way anymore. I'm glad I did. It did a lot for me, but you just can't see what I've seen and come out the other side and be like, hey, everything is great as the day I first found this. It's not.